Hey Aquarius, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. General reading, take what works, leave what doesn't. Check your other major placements if you so choose. Over here on the YouTube side of things, we're doing oracle decks only today. And then over on Vimeo, we'll do an extended with a more traditional tarot spread. So it'll follow this storyline and be similar. So if this resonates, you can head over there if you want. All right, we're looking at the Urban Crow Oracle. Oh, my goodness, lots of people getting that card. Okay, that's all it wants to say from this deck. Observation and upheaval. This is the one that has a lot of people getting it. So upheaval, this is the Tower card of this Oracle deck. What I love about this card is that we have the nest preserved. We have something in the future being preserved, something kept safe, something protected here, even though there's a lot of upheaval going on. There's a lot of changes happening. This is like this is pretty sudden upheaval. There are losses or a loss of the familiar. So this could be upheaval of routine. This could be upheaval of, like moving, like home, upheaval in the home. But there is throughout all of this sort of upset and upheaval, and maybe even upheaval in like the way we're relating to other people, just distress. Like, you know how when you're stressed out and you end up having arguments, but it's not like, they're not like real arguments. They're just like stressed out. Everyone's just kind of stressed and snippy at each other. That's what I'm seeing here, is like some stressed out sniping at each other maybe, but it's not about, specifically the other person. It's about this whole environment of instability and upheaval that kind of comes in a little suddenly, right? Like those windstorms, at least in my part of the country, they don't last like forever. They last a day, maybe two, dump over all the trees in town. But there is I do love this nest here. This nest where something is preserved here. We have like a safety net or some sort of a nest egg here. So even though there is like chaos and confusion here coming in, there is a sense of something being preserved. Something being uprooted. Those roots, I mean, it's interesting because when the windstorm comes through and the ground is frozen, the trees then snap. But this is an uprooting of something. So the ground is soft. I don't know why that seems important to me, but the ground is soft. And so it allows for an uprooting rather than a snapping. And so this may have to do with family issues, upheaval with family, upheaval, something that's sturdy and has been relied upon, shifting, changing. I mean, it doesn't have to be like, I mean, it does look pretty much like a tower thing, but it doesn't have to be, that big of a deal. It can just be like, oh, this is no longer reliable. We're not going to be using this resource anymore, this source anymore. So, something that you've relied on, or a structure that's been a part of your life changing. And then we have observation. This is possibly one of my favorite cards in this deck. Well, they're all kind of possibly one of my favorite cards in this deck, but I like watching, and we have Anansi here, the storyteller. So you may be, watching a story, watching like a play or something, observing and learning from that observation, just watching the spider work. And one of my favorite things about spiders is they just do these sort of like art projects wherever they feel called to do whatever their instinct or their nature calls them to build sort of an art project. And then the flies come to them and they have the structure. So what's interesting is sometimes we put the cart before the horse. We want the flies to come and then, okay, Okay, enough flies are here. I'll start building a web to catch them. But it's kind of, you know, you have to develop your skill set first, and before you can catch some big juicy flies here. So there's something that you're learning from some sort of, I feel like, creative storytelling, or someone else's creativity, someone else's story, someone else's creativity. You're learning from it, and it's like a timeout from. I mean, this is what it just seems so mundane, but also these storylines can be, you know, fairly mundane here too. They don't have to be like this is such dramatic upheaval, but there is something that can relate to art where there's some sort of upheaval, and it could be like you learning and realizing something from some sort of film you're watching, or I just really feel like it's visual, some sort of film you're watching, or play that you see, or something like that. And it is time out of the norm, away from. Yeah, this is like what if this was the regular tarot, I would call this a separation card, where it's like a separate moment in time. It's a time out to watch and observe and see something that's happening, looking at it very closely. This could be learning from another artist, learning from watching what other people do. But there's like either dedicated time you take to it's like dedicated time. This isn't like part of your normal routine or daily activities. This is some sort of, I mean, it is if it's like dedicated time, like you know, if you take time out every day to focus on art, or focus on learning something about a story or about art. So there is a sense of taking time out and paying close attention to a story, and it relates to some sort of shifting structure in your life. Okay, this is really fascinating. This has like connections to several other readings. Here we have protective nest. So something is going to take the time it takes, and it's protected, right? But here we have the protective nest. So even in all of this upheaval, there's something that you're protecting, maybe some ideas. It could be this nest of ideas up here. Look, we even have a corvid in this one. This deck doesn't usually have corvids. It has a couple of them, but we even have the corvid up here guarding this nest, these ideas. So even in this upheaval, if you're like, you know, observing something and totally shifting the way you do something, there is something that's being preserved. Or even if your life experiences a lot of upheaval, it's protection. Something is protected here, this protective nest. Yeah, I just love it. I love that this came out. Here you have it, protective nest. So even in the upheaval, something is safe, some sort of dream, some sort of future dream is safe. It may not feel like it's safe right now, especially, you know, what are we going to do? We're kind of squawking around here. What are we going to do? What's going on? How could this happen? But the future, there's some sort of dream that's safe. It's going to take the time it takes. So you may not be like fully like, oh yeah, that dream's, you know, hatching. These, you know, we're not counting our chickens before they hatch, sort of thing. That we're not, but there is like a sense of potential here that's being preserved. And in some ways, like, right, there's the phrase like rejection is protection. So if you're rejected from something, it's not necessarily rejection, especially if it has to do with art. It just has to do with a right fit or not a right fit usually, or, you know, the vision, you know, what part do you play in the vision? So there is some sort of like ejection of a norm here, but there is a preservation within that. So, you know, it could be very upsetting, and, you know, there could be some squawking and some upset, but there's a sense of safety as well, as something's being kept safe, even amidst all of this upheaval. So we also have here the gardener. This reminds me of this observation a little bit. So the gardener is about taking care of your plot in life, right? You have like a community garden. This always talks to me about community garden, and we're part of a community, and we're taking care of our little 6x3 plot in the community garden, right? And so we're taking care of ourselves. So if we want world peace, we have to find peace within, because we are part of that. And we're responsible, let's say there's 7 billion people on the planet. We're responsible for 1/7 billionth of the peace on the planet. 1/7 billionth of that. That's fully our responsibility. That's our plot in life. And sometimes we can help out other gardeners, but the place, what we're most responsible is for our business, our area, our region. This almost has a sense of you staying in your lane a little bit and making sure, what is it? Taking out the log out of your own eye before you go to work on other people. Like making sure your plot's well weeded and what you're bringing is healthy and robust. And you're doing the best you can. This makes the overall community garden more gorgeous. It makes the overall community more healthy, especially if you're going to share these works with others. So it's mostly just working on your own self and understanding that. What is it? I think it's a Buddhist quote. Lots of quotes here. All I can do, the best thing I can do for you is work on myself. So it's making sure that you're bringing your best goods to market, your best work, and working on yourself. We also have lullaby here. So this is my meditation card. Not necessarily turning off the mind, but turning away from the mind and more vibing with something. There's a little intuition in here. There's our own vibe. And so not necessarily listening for the words, but listening for the tune, listening for the sensation, the feelings, what kinds of feelings we're having when we do something, paying more attention to our feelings about something rather than our thoughts. This reminds me about, sometimes when people are talking, we can get very much into the logic of their thoughts and whatever, but we can find out a lot of information by just feeling how they're talking and feeling, not taking on those feelings as our own, but just paying more attention to some kind of vibe here. It might be your own vibe, especially in this upheaval. This could be protecting your own peace in the midst of this upheaval. And maybe looking for wisdom outside yourself, looking for wisdom in other people's work. And then we have home in the sky. This is really interesting with this upheaval card, because to me, this home in the sky talks about like stagnation a little bit, not talking about things, not moving, waiting for some sort of wind. So here we're waiting for the wind to move us. We could move by ourselves, but we could just decide to fly off at any moment. But for whatever reason, be it habit, be it need or whatever, we are in this sort of stagnant space waiting for the wind. Well, if you were waiting for wind, it might just be coming now. It's going to force you to move forward. This can also be like just being in your comfort zone, kind of stagnating in a bit of a comfort zone. Like you've been here a while and it seems normal now. That, wait, birds fly? No, we don't. We stay at home, and the wind pushes us around when it feels like it. Like that's what birds do. So there's a sense of this has been going on for a while, and there's something that you're very used to that actually is a little bit strange and not really healthy, I want to say. But there's the potential for change. There are 3 cards here of basically non-activity, watching, vibing, comfort zone, right? These birds we can say birds are at home in the sky, but these birds are like, what is this? Like, what are they doing here? They are at home in the sky, but they seem to be in some sort of weird home in the sky, or some sort of, like they've given up their own power here. And maybe they feel safe, maybe they feel safe, but their true nature is to be at home in the sky and to be moving. Oh man, I see just this tiniest sliver of intuition trying to get through the smog here. So they've given up, but they seem a little powerless, and they've given up the power, but they may be so used to it that they're not even aware that this is unusual, that birds can fly. Birds don't have to sit around waiting. for external forces to move them. But if that's what you were doing, this external force is coming in here to create upheaval. Right? It may have felt safe, right? We've got this protective nest. It may have felt safe. All right. A little bit more here. All right. Oh, that's a nice chunk. Balance, spirituality, and practicality, full moon in Pisces. So things coming into being able to see things more and more clearly. But also this one really talks to me about dreams and responsibilities, dreams and working towards something, and also like heart and head, and like, how does the dream become a reality? So a vision, a dream, and how is it going to become reality? And I think that's what you're watching here. It's like, I want to do that. How is that person doing that? How is somebody else achieving something? And needing to balance, like, also your dreams with more practical life things. Maybe protecting this dream. Maybe there's a lot of like busyness and to-do lists and stuff like that right now, and the dreams kind of been cast aside, but it's still protected. It's still in a protected space right now, but it's talking about, right? And then spirituality and practicality right here, right? You're taking care of your own spirituality, and it's having these, it will have practical ramifications within your community. We have a fiery climax approaches. Seeing this upheaval card, yeah, something very exciting and intense happening. Exciting, good or bad, this one really never says. Full moon in Aries, so you'll know it when you see it, though. You'll be like, ah, yes, Empress Rose had mentioned that something very explosive was coming. We have Sisterhood of the Rose, beauty, devotion, priestess, mystic, teacher. This talks to me about being in both a learning and a teaching space, being able to show somebody something, being part of the link of knowledge throughout time, the chain link of knowledge. And you're your own little link here. We've got this whole chain. And so you're connected to learning and you're connected to teaching. Beauty and devotion too. I feel like this protective nest is about devotion, remaining devoted to some sort of project or some sort of idea of the future, even amidst a lot of upheaval. Pillar of light, your vibration is rising. You are the oracle. You have something to say. So this is saying you have something to say. You need to say it. It's part of your nature. It's part of your mission. It could be big. It could be small. It could be just, something that you need to mention. But as part of this growth, right, we're talking about growth and learning. As part of this growth, you need to communicate either your growth or something about the growth, something about it. You are being called to talk about. You're being asked to teach or talk about something, express something that you might be learning or might have learned. Trust your path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? So I also love this with this protected nest here, because this talks about the upheaval, the path not being clear, or the path having at one point been clear and now you're having to adapt to a lot of different things. So adapting, but it also talks about this devotion card. Man, this is all like kind of woven together like a nest or a basket or something, all kind of weaving together here, these ideas. But this, it talks about remaining devoted to the goal, and we also got devotion here, remaining devoted to the goal, to where you're going to go. And then we have ever unfolding rose, cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. This is about this upheaval and this fiery climax. It is for your benefit. A good mantra might be, everything is always working out for me. Even though it may not feel like it in the moment, this is for your benefit. You are going to be okay. You're going to get used to a new sort of reality or a new sort of structure in your life. You are safe within the difficulty. trying to keep your heart open, not shutting down, right? I think that's what all of this is about too, is keeping your heart open, being open to infinite possibilities, not shutting down even though we've got this upheaval and this stuff, but remaining devoted to what you want, keeping your heart open and being open to a lot of different possibilities and a lot of different possible ways to get to your goal. This talks about just shifting sands, shifting paths to your goal. So there are going to be a lot, some things being preserved here, some sort of goal, some sort of destination. Even if there's a lot of upheaval right now, it's being preserved, and you'll find a way. It may not be the way you thought it was going to be, but you will find a way. And whatever is happening, whatever this excitement or upheaval is for you'll be not just okay, but it could open up another path for you towards some place where you have been devoted and you really want to, you're trying to get to whatever your goal and your destination is. This upheaval may not feel like it at the time, but it could be opening up something else for you. All right, so if that made sense to you and that resonated with you, join me over on Vimeo. If not, see you in a while.